What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Corporate Culture, where today we're going to be diving into what is the Matrix. Enjoy. And we're live. Welcome back. Cheers. Cheers. So we got this mint, you said?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a 3 mint tea. 3 kinds of mint.
You put it yourself, or does it come together?
No, it's Puka, I think is how you say it. Is the name of the brand. It was on sale at Sprouts. That's like one of my favorite tea brands.
Okay, all right. Well, tea is nice because it allows you to step into a calmer mentality. Mm-hmm. And I believe today is an episode where we will need all of the vibrational insights in order to fully have a good episode about the topic, which is about the Matrix.
The Matrix, yeah. And breaking free of the Matrix.
So, obviously, everybody, for the most part, is familiar with the movie, The Matrix.
Yeah. Well,
have you seen?
You'd be surprised. I mean, the kids today.
The kids nowadays, I could see
it came out, like 1999? So
it came out.
Some of them weren't even born.
Yeah, like we were kids when it came out.
Yeah. I was in elementary school. I was like 4th, 5th grade, something like that.
Yeah, I can definitely say I watched it and I didn't really pick up on any of the real ideologies put into it. I was just like fascinated with all the fighting and all the special effects. When I watched it later on, I was a little bit older. I started picking it up again. And when I watched it again, I was like, "Oh, whoa, this is crazy."
Yeah, I even remember seeing it the first time. As a kid, seeing and being somewhat familiar with like meditation and stuff, and or at least have heard about it, and the scene where he goes see the Oracle and the kids, like bending the spoon, and then he's like, there is no spoon, like that. I always thought that was like a powerful scene to me, but yeah, at the time I like didn't, didn't make the deeper connection.
So even that scene, for example.
Yeah.
Let's go into that. What was the symbolism of that scene towards real life?
Well, basically, I mean, it's basically the kids are like bending spoons with their minds, which apparently is like a real thing. Like, kids or people have done, in real life. But Neo is the main character, is trying to figure out like how these kids are doing it, and then so one of the kids who's bending the spoons tells Neo, is like, don't try to bend the spoon because you can't. You have to realize the truth that there is no spoon. And then Neo like looks at the spoon and then starts to bend it, and then he gets interrupted and goes to see the Oracle. But really, to me, the symbolism is that the Matrix is, a mental construct. It's like it's all made up by your mind. Like the reality is an illusion, so that you essentially can create it however you want if you realize that your mind can be supreme in that reality.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm personally have always been fascinated with the world that is shown to you. And in the world that you see when you close your eyes on a personal level. So, for example, I've realized many times as I've grown up that the dreams, the goals that I create in my head that come from within are larger than life. In many ways, go against the grain. In a lot of aspects, is not the orthodox method of going about life. But then it's funny in certain cases when you try to bring some of these bigger than life experiences to turn into reality, you will often find different aspects of life wanting to either not allow it or in some sort of way suppress it, or point you in a different direction that's not that one.
Because it's not like
Because it's
what's
not
acceptable
it's not what was built into the matrix.
Yeah, well, I think I mean maybe we should define like what is the matrix.
So the way I look at it is, the way I refer to is still going by the aspect of blue pill and red pill
I mean,
within the concept of the movie within the matrix.
yeah. Well, so I think maybe we should take a step back and like, if in your words, define like what is the matrix? Like, even if someone who hadn't seen the movie, like what is the matrix that we're talking about?
Yeah, well, to make things simpler, it is the world that we have fabricated for ourselves. And so when you look at life, for instance, life is an experience. Whether you want to admit that or not, it's one long experience. Some cases short for some people. You know what I mean? Long story short, coming from the past episode, we've talked about beings choosing to go to certain planets to reincarnate and live that life and have a whatever experience that they're wanting to have. That's where the matrix comes into play, where if you were to be in a different planet, the matrix set on that planet from whoever was there from the get-go, which I guess is another kind of conversation we can get into as far as the source. In a way, the way I look at it is like this. Even as humans, if you were to say that we are not as developed as species of aliens out there that are doing way more than we are, that's fine. But look at how much we can construct. Look how much we can create already.
Yeah, we're in.
And now we're going into the digital platforms with VR and all of these aspects where we're creating worlds within worlds.
Yeah, we're in.
And so we're already at a level where we're already creating matrices within matrices. What I'm saying here is that we, in my opinion, we come from a creator source. Therefore, we have those abilities within ourselves. And it just keeps propelling itself. I mean, in a way, you can get lost in just the idea of what it could be.
Yeah, we're in.
But I guess where I'm coming from is whoever was the architect for that reality that set the tone when the rest of the life started to erupt or grow and become real life, like the life that you and I are right now living, human beings. Does that make sense? Like, I mean, tell me where you're coming from in regards to what that means.
So yeah, I mean, I feel like, you know, we have a kind of similar ideas in that. I feel like for my explanation of the matrix to make sense, you kind of have to have the background of like reincarnation, and that, you know, I believe that each soul who incarnates as a person chooses things or, you know, lessons to learn in their lifetime, and that the goal of, you know, someone, I mean, in almost every case, the goal of someone's incarnation of like, or the reason someone would, you know, incarnate as a human or any life form would be to grow and to learn something, you know, and for the experience. And so with that, you know, kind of understanding, I feel like the matrix is this kind of pre-programmed like path. So, you know, it's in a world where, you know, you can be born and live with essentially almost infinite possibilities. It's it's a way to essentially to trick souls into living lives where they don't really accomplish anything. Yeah. So it's like,
so let's dive in that for a second. I don't mean to interrupt.
oh yeah,
but
yeah.
let's talk about like the video game scenario, right? Sort of like a San Andreas style, like the what do you call it? That type of style of video game where you just kind of walking around the city doing whatever.
Yeah, it's like it's not like an RPG, but like a
first person type stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think a great easy way of looking at it is the Matrix, for example, is that world, right? For example, San Andreas, like the video game for Grand Theft Auto, perfect example, where they've set up all the missions that they want you to go through.
Yeah, word. And so yeah, like the missions they want you to go through, like that's the Matrix, essentially.
And then you have kids that are going there and are purely trying to break the game, meaning they're trying to find the glitches, they're trying to find things that are like don't make sense. Yeah. They're trying to like figure out different cracks within the game.
Yeah, that's funny. I think that's a reflection of what's actually happening in larger reality. But yeah, I mean, as far as
what's a glitch in reality is when people talk about that, where something happened, a glitch in the Matrix. Yeah. It's the same thing in the video game. And so a lot of the people, if you were to put that towards real life, I've come to find out, if we go back to that red pill, blue pill idea, I've come to understand that by default, I've seen people, and I've personally categorized them in the blue pill category when they've just gone through all of the obvious steps in life.
Yeah.
And you know, for the cases, it works out for certain people, and it's great for them.
Yeah.
I don't want to like downplay somebody having a traditional lifestyle. That being said, I've seen huge amounts of people not being fulfilled by their life at all.
Yeah. So,
and I think that's the result from it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really whatever path you choose in life. I mean, I think, you know, isn't necessarily that important. I think, you know, you can do what, you know, someone else might think is like a boring, you know, lifestyle, but like if that's like what you need to grow for who you are, and you know that's what you've chosen, I feel like you know that's completely, you know, that's exactly what you should be doing. You know, you shouldn't be out, you know, starting your own company and like taking over the world, and you know, like
there's steps to it.
You know, really, I really think each person is here for a specific purpose, and you know, and if you're fulfilling that, I think, you know, more power to you. I think, and for the most part, I feel like the vast majority of us are here for very specific, like not, you know, we're not all here to be rock stars, you know, and a lot of the people who end up being rock stars are like super unfulfilled and, you know, end up killing themselves or something, you know. Yeah.
The way I look at it is, if you have gone and done everything right, quote unquote, and you still don't find the fulfillment, you're in the Matrix. You bought into a ton of things that are not serving you.
Yeah, I mean
that's what I mean.
Well, yeah, probably the case. Yeah.
And so whether if it's the long-term job you've been working that you've always hated and low-key just want to get out, the relationship that's absolutely draining you, the environment that you live in that's not at all portraying you to push yourself.
Yeah,
call it what you want.
And so, I mean, to me, like the idea of the Matrix is essentially it's you following a path in life or making decisions based on what you think society or your parents or someone else has told you or made you believe that's what you should do.
That's the way you should.
You know, whether or not it's what you feel is in your heart, you know, and usually it's like against what you feel, you know, in your heart. It's like it's usually taking the safe route and you know, leads to unfulfillment and leads to people, you know, settling for someone who they're not really in love with, you know, and like basically it leads to a mediocre lifestyle where someone's unfulfilled, and with the idea is that they don't really have that much spiritual growth in that lifetime. And so instead of, incarnating on earth, like, 3 or 4 times and learning these lessons and then, graduating and moving on, you get stuck in the same routine where like it up until, recently it was you're born, you go to school, you go to, college or not, but you get a job and then you work that job, for 40 years or whatever, either for a company or like on a farm or something. You have a family, you kind of teach them to do the same thing, and then you die. It's like
Right.
you might, last few hundred years, like you retire, right? Not even a few hundred, last like 100. You retire, and then, like, but like, people aren't really, haven't been encouraged to like figure out what they're here to do. And, up until recently, it hasn't really been an option for most people because of this. I think the overall system has been in place so elaborately for so long that it's like you haven't been, the average person hasn't been free to, express themselves and to figure out their purpose. They were, just struggling to survive because of these big power systems in place, to keep like the king or whatever, government, like, in power, and then the average person like really doesn't have shit and just has to work just to survive.
Yeah, I think that has some point to it. Ultimately, I think the ultimate reason why the vast majority of people, if they have been stuck in the matrix and are going to continue being stuck in the matrix, is if you cannot understand when you're being stimulated purely by the world's intentions or by your own intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you literally cannot decide things for yourself and just go with it and make that promise to yourself and do it, make that plan and go with it, set a goal and achieve it. If you're not on that level, reality will swallow you and you won't even know where you should be. Because there's so many things nowadays pulling your attention.
Yeah.
And it's all within the matrix. That's lower vibration stuff.
But, even like from the beginning, it's all like, it literally is part of the system, like the schooling system. You're trained to be an employee. It's like you're trained to not think for yourself. You're trained to, everyone's doing the same, supposed to do the same shit.
You know why they put the rows the way they did for classrooms? Is because they were, at first when school was put together on that sense, it was to get people ready to be line workers at factories.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And so you're just always in lines when you're in school. And the reason is because they're really prepping you to continue to be in lines later on in life.
Yeah, word. Yeah.
And so just a little quick fact there. But
word. Yeah, it makes sense.
Education. I mean, shoot, we could go into that right now.
Yeah, and it's like the thing is, if you leave it up to society and to like to other people telling you what to do, it's like you will go through and be programmed and basically live life on autopilot, until you have, it's usually some sort of like health crisis or, financial crisis or something that shocks people out of
and sort of
complacency.
Turns on your perspective.
That helps people, wake people up to like, oh, this is a matrix. Like I'm not, I'm just running this stupid program. I've been wasting my life, and none of this is fulfilling me. If it happens, I mean, sometimes it,
I mean, I would love to see people come to that conclusion before like something tragic happens in their life,
or before they're old and
you know what I mean. Because at that point, it's like depending on how bad the tragedy is, you have that to deal with, no matter even if you did wake up. But and the way I look at it is like, when you see certain people, and this is actually a small percentage, but they just have this inner fire that just makes you excited to be around them.
Yeah, definitely.
That to me is a simple way to know somebody is plugged out of the matrix. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Word.
Meaning their conscious is fully aware. They got their purpose. They're moving in that direction. They feel good. They feel good giving good vibes to other people. It all makes sense.
Yeah.
majority of people don't do that.
Yeah,
they don't go about life like that.
Yeah. I totally
let's
agree.
be real.
Yeah.
And so,
Well,
it's that spark. It's that spark.
Yeah, it's like, I think most people, and this maybe is a good indicator of whether you're not in the matrix. You see, most people are kind of going around looking for someone or something outside of themselves to give them, a spark,
Direction,
and like, to whereas like if they're basically going to give back what they get, it's like if someone's rude to them or, cuts them off in traffic, it's like they're going to curse them out. They're basically going to react, it's like you're trained to just react, as versus like every now and then there's someone who's like a ray of sunshine, and who's just literally goes through and, if people are nice to them or, like they accidentally, if someone cuts them off or they accidentally cut some off, and then instead of like flipping them off, they're just like, oh, hey, sorry, like right. I have way too much joy in my life to like let, some trivial matter like upset me. And then, they keep going. And then, people are just like, wait, well, like,
yeah.
What's up with them? Or, and not even necessarily like joyful. If someone's just like determined on their path, it's like you can really tell how much someone has going on in their life by how a little setback or something, an inconvenience will bother them.
Sure.
Some people, they might not even be like necessarily nice people. But it's like if you have so much going on in your life that for you to take even a few minutes out in some random dispute that doesn't matter at all in the grand scheme of things, it's like you're not going to do that. Your time is too valuable.
So what do you think are some of the main things that keep people totally stuck in the matrix?
I think it's not. The main thing is not having a deep sense of purpose, and really not having figured out who you are and why you're here.
Yeah.
And
which is actually the majority.
It is the majority of people. Yeah.
Over the course of my life, I've talked to people and asked them what's their goal, who they want to be, what they want to achieve, and I would say maybe 8 out of 10 people give me the. Well, maybe I'm working.
This is the thing I'm doing next, but like not a deep purpose. Yeah, I find the same thing, and it's part of the matrix. It's like you're not ever told that that's what you're supposed to do unless like maybe your parents or some teacher like really gets it and is able to, reach you despite being in the matrix.
Mm-hmm. Any other stuff? Any other like the main ones, like big ones that like really just have like an anchor to people?
It's just one is buying. I do agree
that I do agree with the purpose.
I think not having a spiritual practice or not even spiritual, but not having like a self-care practice, like not being health conscious. If your parents never instilled it into you. Yeah. And you're leaving it up to society to tell you what's healthy, like, you're probably pretty lost as far as, nutrition and health information goes, unless you've had like a health crisis, which, is kind of what happened to me, is like what happened to a lot of people is they've, were following the program, eating, McDonald's and, delicious, definitely, but like terrible fast food, and then getting, having health problems arise largely as a result of that, and stress, I
almost wanted to stop by and get some chickens, sandwich chickens, because I saw their ad and I was like, coming from the gym, and I was like, don't do it.
Oh, weird.
Just keep walking.
Yeah, that's funny.
But that's how they get you, yo.
But yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah. Big old sign, big old crispy chicken looking delicious, lit, like it's just, and you're like, oh man. Like,
and then it's
you don't need it.
But also the idea that everyone is eating that, like that's the normal thing to eat, it's like, it's like, that's not good for you,
I agree.
So, and eating unhealthy and just like having food that basically clouds your mind and like keeps you addicted to food, because it's like if you're eating that fast food you know, it's like, it's addictive. It's,
Yeah.
you know, and then you eat that, you know, every day, or, you know, even 4 or 5 days a week, you know, like, and you're not an athlete, like within a few months, like you gain how, you know, how many pounds, and, you know, if you do that year after year, you know, it's like, it's hard to come back from that, or it's like, you know, to change that.
It's that bad cycle where then you're lethargic and you
Yeah.
don't want to work out and you miss that workout and
Yeah.
you repeat and you eat some more.
Yeah, you know, it's tough. And so it's like, that's the matrix.
And so I would wager, I got a couple thoughts here. So I would add 2 more things to the list. 1, drugs and alcohol.
Yeah, word.
And the other one, kind of a new one, social media.
Yeah.
For drugs and alcohol, I think that one's pretty obvious. If you don't keep that one in check, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah, it's slippery slope, but it's also, it's so encouraged in our society. And, you know, alcohol is one of the most like detrimental drugs, and it's like
totally
it's,
open, available to every,
you know, and like praised, you know, in our society. And, you know, up until recently, you know, widely in like advertisements everywhere, you know, they've kind of
super accepted. Yes, cigarettes for the longest time.
Yeah.
Totally encouraged to people.
Word.
Made it look like it's super classy. And so we know what these things do. They might give you a short burst of energy, excitement, euphoria, and then every time you come down, you feel a little crappier than you did even before you took it.
Yeah.
And so I think that one's an obvious one. In the social media one, I think it's, I don't want to just say social media, I'm going to say the internet as a whole. And I'm going to go ahead and say it's how you use it.
Yeah. Yeah, social media, personal devices, you know.
Because you can benefit a lot from it.
Yeah, you know, it's like
tremendous amount.
You know, Audible is like, I finished at least 100 books last year, probably, you know, more than that, between Audible and YouTube. Like, you know, sometimes I'd finish like 2 or 3 books in a day. And, you know, just, and especially if I'm on a road trip or something, you got 18 hours and you know, you're driving, like I can finish like 3 or 4 books, you know, like put it on double speed. But, so it's like technology has empowered people incredibly to learn, you know,
but it multiplies what you're already up to.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Plus,
so,
but, you know, there's also now it's like video games, and like there's all literally, you know, some of the biggest companies in the world are those, you know, mobile game companies.
The video game industry makes more money than the sports and entertainment industry put together.
You know, and then there's like, now it's like pornography has reached an all-time, you know, crazy level. You can literally watch any type of like crazy stuff on your phone.
10 seconds.
Within seconds, yeah. And I'm sure, like, you know, it's like, if I can, you know, find anything on there, like, I'm sure, you know, the 10-year-olds can, for the most part, too.
Oh yeah, no, it's, I mean, shoot, we can go down that route, because that's actually one aspect that the matrix that we've created, that we're surrounded by, pushes that idea like it's no big deal.
Yeah,
sex can just be thrown around like it's nothing.
Yeah, that's it's like detrimental too, yo. It's like, I really feel like people get super addicted to that stuff, like, you know, and it's also, it's just like probably the quickest way to get like viruses and stuff on your phone, and like get, you know, hackers and
yeah, it's definitely not gonna help if those websites are not known to be friendly to your devices. And I say at the end of the day, what I think it does in overall damage is the fact that, for starters, your sexual energy seems to be your most powerful energy within you.
Yeah.
And if you can actually know how to tame that and actually harness it, you are at almost genius level as far as like how you operate.
Yeah.
Those are the people who break the matrix. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So if they want you to not mess with the matrix, they want you to keep jerking off. They want you to keep eating the crappy food. They want you to not work out. They want you to not be bold. They want you to be all those things so you don't break the thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess really, if you, and even thinking about the Matrix, like going back to the movie, it's like all of those little things are different ways to drain your energy. You know, it's like they're the little tubes and, you know, things running throughout the person in the pod, like draining your energy. It's like, you know, social media or you know, fast food or, you know, gossip,
Pornography, shopping,
pornography,
social
yeah,
media,
shopping.
not doing exercises, and Netflix and chill.
Yeah, or you know,
Those are all things that at the end of the day, you deep down know that sure you might have enjoyed it, but you know you're not better off after it. You know what I mean?
yeah, we're in,
There's certain activities that you can enjoy eating a piece of cake,
yeah,
but you know you're not better after it.
yeah. Depends on the cake. I'm just joking. But yeah, it's like arguing with people on social media. I feel like, you know, is another one too. Where it's just like instead of, you're not only not bettering yourself, you're actually like causing harm. You know, it's like, cause if you're like hella trolling people and like, you know, getting and saying all, I mean, because people, the types of people say to each other online, I'm just like, yo, like y'all need to, you need Jesus.
What seems like there's a theme here: low vibrational activities,
Yeah, we're in.
high vibrational activities.
We're in.
So I say now let's talk about what puts you out of the matrix.
Yeah, what can help raise
What
your
can help
vibration
you-
and how to escape the matrix. Yeah, I mean, I think to me, you know, which is always my number one health and, you know, self improvement tip is meditation. And because I feel like if you start every day by establishing yourself in like
Yeah.
a sense of connectedness of, you know, to something like that's beyond your physical body, it's like it's a point of reference that you can always go back to, and then you just like it.
You're like a rock.
Yeah, it dissolves fear.
You're way harder to push around and to sway and to impress in the stupidest ways.
Yeah, word. And so I mean that's, you know, that's one for sure, and then, you know, like just working to improve yourself and just also making sure like everything you do is like not inhibiting, you know, other people. Like you're like, there's no reason to be dragging other people down or like comparing yourself, you know, because it's like everyone's here on their own.
Well, yeah, that's the one thing that social media has made way worse.
Yeah,
is the comparing.
Yeah,
I mean, before you could compare yourself to people in your street, you know, the family members and whatever, but now you have the whole world to compare yourself to.
Yeah,
on the fingertips.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think it seems like it's, when it comes down to the system, obviously I said the word architect. You could go and break that down to several levels. Perhaps the God who created the earth, and then the first set of beings who like set the rules and implemented them. And so I feel like there's like different levels, all the way now to where now people can just plug into a video game and make that their life.
Yeah, we're in. Yeah.
I mean, people literally are doing that in ways that it's incredibly unhealthy, to the point where you literally don't even live. You are living through the avatar.
Yeah, we're in. Yeah, I mean, it's like that.
We've
life
come to
is
that point.
more interesting than your life. Yeah.
And I think at that point, for real though, I think that think about this is like some Inception shit. Because in my opinion, if you find it more interesting to play a game, not to say that it's not fun, I'm saying if you find it more interesting than your actual life, you're definitely in the matrix.
Yeah, word.
I mean, you're deep in there.
Yeah.
You're so deep, you'd rather play another life than yours.
Yeah.
Let's cut the shit. You know what I'm saying? And I enjoy video games, but you see how often I play them. I play them if there's somebody's house and I'm there 10 minutes to play a game. Boom, yeah. I'm out. I'm not losing my life because of it. And now, for the record, this is a slippery slope, because every second that you don't build your life towards better Guess what you're doing in the opposite? You're building it for worse. It's one or the other, right?
Yeah.
Every consequence has a positive or a negative consequence.
I don't know. I definitely think there's an unhealthy level with video games that you can get to, but I don't think it's like, I think if you're spending time,
I'm saying if you prefer that lifestyle over your actual life.
Yeah, word. And to whereas like you're literally spending more time in the game than
you're
than
canceling
out of the game.
things that like most people shouldn't be
unhealthy.
canceling.
Yeah, I don't think you should be spending more than like 3 or 4 hours, like like locked into a reality like that. Just because even for your brain, I mean, it's like. Yeah, life is so wonderful. Like
I remember when I was a kid playing 8 hours a day sometimes.
Yeah, me too.
I was not
12 hours.
I was not operating on a regular level.
Yeah,
it was like take a break, go eat food, take a piss, go right back to it. Go into the living room. Pass my parents,
I don't know. There are some incredible games out there. It's like I know, like I have lots of friends who are all about it. And
I guess what I'm saying is this.
But
the Matrix has now created matrices within the Matrix.
Yeah.
And if you get so far deep, I'm just telling you right now, don't be surprised when it gets a little hard to figure out where's north.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to get lost in for sure, But yeah, I don't know. I think
meditation.
I think video games though are like it's kind of it's become its own thing to where I'm not really in it, so I don't really.
I'm fascinated where video games have come to. Like I said, I was working with Microsoft for 3 years, and I was seeing the things they were developing. Mind blowing.
Yeah,
mind blowing.
Yeah.
But all I can say is this: do you know why they're developing it? To make money.
Yeah, word.
That's the whole point. I mean, and so no, don't tell me that a company like Microsoft is just doing things just to do it.
But a lot of developers are like really 100%.
But the developers are sucked into the machine.
Yeah, we're in. And it's all because there is a matrix.
Yeah, so don't get me wrong. I know the developers who were making those games, and they did love their job. They're getting paid just fine, and they were happy to be there. My point is, their great idea that came from a good place is not going to get packaged and put out there for pure profit only. That's the bottom line. That company put the people in the company.
Yeah, we're in.
That's the bottom line. They put the resources to put the product together.
Yeah.
And so you can appreciate these things, is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. I watch videos sometimes of the movies within video games because they're so amazing to watch.
Yeah,
so visually captivating.
Yeah.
And so we don't have to go too deep in the video game part.
Yeah,
the video game part is definitely a good analogy for the Matrix.
I mean, and I feel like it's its own world in itself, to where it's like there's so many facets to it, because it's like, as a creator, if like by creating a world, and you can create things in video games that you can't create, in any other format.
Yeah. So I would have to add to the list.
To raise your vibration.
Physical exertion.
Yeah, exercise. Yeah, word.
Yeah, that's basically. I'm not gonna say there is a best way. Yeah. I would say there's a few ones that are great: weightlifting, calisthenics, yoga.
Yeah.
Any type of sports you like to play. You're running around and you're working in coordination.
Yeah, sports.
You're competing.
Great. Yeah. I think. For as far as exercise and combined with meditation, so stuff like yoga, like moving meditations, or qigong is like an incredible way to raise your vibration.
What I was gonna make a final point is that all the things that we just talked about, meditation, taking care of yourself, exercise, just being a mindful person just as you go through life, I can definitely say that if you don't have, you could have 3 of these on point, and just by not having one of them is enough to lower your vibration to a point where you're still in the matrix.
Yeah, yeah. It's like if you're eating shitty food, it's like it's really it makes it harder to meditate. It makes it harder to exercise.
Or you're doing all these things, but you're not exercising ever.
Yeah,
you're just like, I eat good, but I'm a great person, but you don't ever fucking exercise. Like, those are all things that are going to synergetically work off of each other to actually get you to a mental point where, you know, your pineal gland is actually activated.
Yeah,
like it's actually being used.
Yeah, you really need to move your body to, you know, flush out, you know, toxins and, you know, keep just your energy flowing. Like it's very important.
Let's dive into the pineal gland, because we've been talking about how low vibration activities we know calcify the pineal gland.
Yeah, fluoride.
The more calcified, the less it works.
Fluoride is probably the most well known, or, you know,
fluoride, bad food, not exercising, all the things that we mentioned are great ways to calcify your pineal gland. What I would say is, we have going to find out that when you don't have such a calcified pineal gland, that's when you enter the level where you're like seeing ahead of time. Yeah, you're like experiencing transcendental experiences where you are getting sixth feelings left and right. They're always on point. Yeah. You are 100% in tune with what you're supposed to be doing, and everything just makes sense.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, the idea is that, like, when you activate your pineal gland, it essentially acts as like a connection or an antenna to access to like the subconscious and
the cosmos.
And so you have like higher levels of perception. You're able to see things that you can't see with your physical senses, or, you know, to know things and to connect with others.
You need that. You absolutely need it.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, it's something that, you know, I think in part of the Matrix has been to disconnect us from that, you know, and to keep us ignorant and to keep us polluted so that we don't have access to our higher perceptions.
Now here's the question. Who or what was in charge of putting together the push to start this type of world on this planet?
So
because it's not positive, right? We constantly have to go out of our way to fight what is pushed in front of us. Eat this easy food. Don't get me wrong. There's obviously there are the good restaurants, there are the gyms, there are whatever. Yeah. But it seems like, if I were to take a step back, it feels like the world is set up more for you to fail than for you to succeed in like a bigger, like, natural way.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I've heard all types of arguments for like who set Illuminati. It up, how long it goes back. Yeah, Illuminati, or, you know, and yeah, so I feel like it's probably been multiple groups, and, you know, I think when humanity was probably set up, or like, you know, created or, you know, introduced in our current format on this planet, I think it was mostly with like benevolent, like good intentions, and I think there was probably a few beings who were in the mix who were like, I'm gonna kind of like set this up for my own benefit. And that, I mean, that as far as kind of goes back to like the Sumerian gods, like Enki and Enlil. But yeah, I think that is probably, so I think the way humanity is like genetically created or was created, I think we are
yeah, keep going.
I think we're just kind of programmed to be easily manipulated. But yeah, I don't know. That's just, you know, all kind of like theoretical stuff. Like, I don't, as far as like who created the Matrix, or like who's created or controlling it now, like, I'm not really sure.
I would say elites in general. Anybody who falls in a category where countries are getting, or rules within the country are getting put together and dictated.
Do you think it's like one major group, or like multiple multiple elite groups?
Honestly, it's not too far-fetched to think that all the different leaders in different countries at one point know where to get together with each other and converse and set a bigger plan within the plan. Like, I understand how leaders operate on a general level, and they are masterminds by nature. And so I think it's hilarious when people don't give these people enough credit, that they're like not smart enough to put these things together. Like, every time this idea of like Illuminati type things, someone who's quote unquote blue pilled would call you a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, right.
And I always laugh at these people because I'm like, you don't know. Like, there's two types of leaders: people with good intentions and then the ones with bad intentions. They're both very efficient at their jobs. And I hate to break it to you, if you get the person with the bad intentions at the very top, they're going to do some damage. And there's a lot of them.
Yeah,
there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I would wager, I don't know, I would say more. I would say more negative than positive.
Right.
And so I kind of have to chuckle when I hear people just be like, conspiracy or whatever. And I'm like, well, you clearly don't understand how, like, top dogs operate. Top dogs love to have meetings behind doors.
Yeah, word.
They don't like to make everything public.
Yeah. Yeah, and as far as like the Illuminati or the cabal, the main sources of information that I trust are probably like the Law of One and like Dolores Cannon. And both of those sources say there definitely is a cabal, and they say, essentially most of the major events that happen in the world are orchestrated by this cabal. And it's like, it's I guess it's two or as far as I think this is information from like 30 years ago, but essentially is like two main players within this like larger group. But I think there's multiple elite groups, and they're probably like constantly vying for power. They might come together and work together, but I think they're all basically self-serving, and if one of them can take out another one, they probably will.
They don't even really come together in a way where they do it for good reasons either. They do it to play ball.
Word.
So for example, different countries export things to each other in services and goods. One country doesn't want to play ball, other countries can just close them out of the equation, not fuck with them anymore, not give you anything, not give you additional support. And so these other leaders in these countries, they know they have to play ball, or else you get shunned from the organization that got put together. And so if a leader or an area wants to play hard ball, well, eventually something's got to give, and they end up finding out they got to just play ball, because it becomes way harder to do what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and that makes sense. It's like a shitty, reality. It's like if, even if there are like a few players trying to, do it like honorably and, like honestly, like, like, and actually like be like
actually have the people's good intention
in
mind.
Like
actually want the world to benefit as a whole.
Yeah, like
as a whole,
having to work against other groups that are not like that. That would just be shitty.
We can keep going, because I think this is an interesting point where I personally believe we have enough technology and knowledge to create a world where we would barely be working. I would say like 3 to 4 hours a week. Everybody would have homes. Everybody would have resources like food and water.
Yeah.
And plenty of resources to keep educating yourself, and then work on your own things that you love, that you're bringing to the table, to the world.
Yeah, word.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're contributing.
Yeah, that's how you truly contribute, is by finding your purpose, going back to what we talked about, and actually developing those skills, mastering those skills over the lifetime.
And everyone working together, for the good of all, so that we're not like, creating shortages and like selling things to each other, and like trying to get massive profits and shit. Yeah.
And so actually, you've heard of Burning Man, right?
Yeah, word.
So in Burning Man, there's no money. Right, everything's bartering, trading, giving, all that kind of stuff. I've heard from many people who have gone to Burning Man that when they come back, it's this like shell shock, where it just doesn't make sense. Like you've because they all decided to realize that that's the best lifestyle as far as living life. But then that week ends and they got to go back to the matrix.
Yeah, we're
And they I think I've heard from several people, they actually experience a pretty good level of depression.
Yeah, we're yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that makes sense probably on a few different reasons, but yeah, I think I'm certain that our planet has enough resources to solve like all of our problems, and I don't think we need to experience shortages or energy crisis. Like I think a lot of these things, like we have the technology and the resources so that everyone could have food and water and power. And so yeah, I don't I think like a lot of the scarcity is because of the matrix. I think a lot of even having to work and like there being poverty and there being such like crazy wealth disparity, it's like that's all the matrix. If we did away with all of that, and we actually distributed resources and people just contributed and everybody worked for the good of all, like we wouldn't have any of the problems.
I think about it like there's totally enough resources for everybody.
Yeah,
like there totally is.
Totally, yeah.
And
like
so
way more than
way
enough.
more,
yeah.
and like
and land. It's like everyone's squished into these small
These
little cities and stuff. It's like if everybody spread things out, we'd use resources better.
We drove to Vegas. How much dead space did we find there?
If all of that was like farming, we set up like solar farms in the desert, and then basically had people
Community-based.
Distributed.
Less
so
government, more communities.
Yeah, local farming, local production of resources, and people sharing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and so
it's like that's how we really escape the matrix.
I don't buy the whole overpopulation.
Yeah,
I don't buy the whole we're running out of resources.
Well, it's only true because of the current system. It's like if everybody is producing so much garbage and like all these like because of consumerism, it's like it's how many millions of packaged products are created each year that end up just getting thrown away because they don't sell.
Just how many water bottles, right?
Yeah, but
Stuff
even
like
just
that,
think about like little like snack cakes or little snacks like chips or things that like get mass produced, and if they don't sell then they get thrown away because they expire or whatever.
It's okay. So in regards to, I personally think that the answer is that in a way you create your own matrix within the matrix.
Yeah,
that your world is so strong and put together that the outside world can't crack it.
Like that's how you break free of the matrix?
Yeah, like that's a good way, in my opinion, to continue doing what you're supposed to while still operating in the world that you're in.
Within the matrix. Yeah, word.
And so like your force around you, by doing all the things that we talked about, eating well, resting, practicing mindfulness, meditating, all these things, by the time you go to interact with the world, you're equipped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, word.
As opposed to you're mentally drained and your force field is down, like a fucking video game. Yeah, and now you're gonna take damage when you go out.
Yeah. Or just be swayed by whatever the mood is of the day. It's like when
crispy chicken, put in front of you, and I would have gone in a different day and bought that.
Yeah, it was like I was just talking about this the other day. It's like when the pandemic started. It's like I have such a strong sense of my own life and my own reality that it's like I feel like I'm here to serve, and I'm here to like figure out like what I have to contribute, and I'm doing that. It's like when the pandemic started, I was a chef, still, and and every time I'd talk to someone, I'd be like, hey, what's going on? And they'd be like, oh, Like it was like because there was a pandemic, you had to be sad.
Yeah.
Like you had to act like it was the end of the world.
But,
and
know,
like,
just keeping it together.
I'm hanging in. Doing what
hanging in there.
And then and I was just like, and then they'd be like, oh, like how about you? And I was just like, I'm great. And then people would be shocked.
And for the record, these are like not people living on the streets.
Yeah,
with like crack habits. These are people living in nice houses. Food pantry is full of fucking food.
Yeah.
Comfort is there, and somehow you still have
you had to buy into this idea that life sucks now. And I'm just like, fuck that. It's like, it doesn't matter what's going on. Like, you can choose who you want to be, how you want to be, and like
100%.
have that internal, your internal reality shine through the matrix. Like, basically, I think what you were saying.
Yeah, no, I mean, the way I see it is there's been times that my force field was down.
Yeah, same here.
It was depleted.
Yeah.
And you're more susceptible to eating that meal you shouldn't have had.
Yeah.
Drinking the alcohol that you probably shouldn't have drank that day.
Yeah, or gossiping,
watching whatever.
Bashing the president.
All of it. All of it.
Yeah.
And the days that you ate well, you did your workout, you slept good, you did the things you're supposed to do that day, magically, if you look at those days, you're pretty on point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're making good decisions left and right.
Yeah.
And so that's what you need, unfortunately and fortunately, is that's the struggle right there. Is if you can keep that together, which we all know the majority of people are unfortunately failing at it.
Yeah, it's tough.
Even for the people that are completely aware of it, like me, I still have my downfalls that I fall down, and I'm aware of it too when it happens.
Yeah,
I'm totally aware when I go back into the matrix.
Yeah,
and it's not a good feeling.
Yeah.
And you can go back in and out.
Yeah,
Keep going. Yeah, let's keep going with yours. So basically, our cameras are all going out, and we just have Brandon's. So we're gonna keep rolling. Let's just go ahead and flip it over here. Hey, freestyling. But anyways, we're at the end here at the top of the hour. If you want to make some closing remarks.
Yeah. So basically, I think the thing to be aware of is that there is a matrix, and the matrix does not have your best interest at heart. It's basically set up to keep you ignorant, to keep you, following the program, and really not progressing in life, being frustrated, spending your money on, things that are not benefiting you. It's like, it's consumerism. You're supposed to, just spend money on food and, like food as entertainment, not healthy food, just like eating out and, drinking and, going out and partying and buying, the latest iPhone or whatever. And, it's one thing if like you're buying things as a way to
necessity.
Yeah, either necessity or as an investment. It's like if you're buying the new iPhone, you're gonna podcast and create business videos or whatever, and like basically everything you should be doing should be leveling yourself up, helping other people, or and if you don't know what your purpose is in life, figure that out, and that. Having that and having a self-care practice like meditation or yoga or, all of that exercise, that will basically keep you, on your path, and so that the matrix won't sway you as much. And, you can kind of even use the matrix for it to bring you the wonderful things that you want in your life.
Yeah. I would say at the end of the day, don't be scared of the truth. Don't be scared of that red pill, because at first, no matter what it is that you're struggling with, if it's the eating well, the exercising, whatever, the quicker you get past that point of being scared of the truth, of just facing it, the quicker you'll get to that point that you need to be to.
Word. And
so just take that red pill on the daily, you know what I'm saying? Wake up, take that red pill.
Word.
And that's all we have for you guys today. That was a good one.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, thanks for joining us. And everybody stay well, stay healthy. Do what you need to do to take care of yourself and the people you love.
Keep that force shield up and create your own matrix.
Yeah.
Take it easy, guys.
Peace.
Thanks for watching this episode from Appropriate Culture. If you want to watch other episodes, make sure to make your way to appropriateculture.com. You can also hang out with us in other social media platforms. They're all in the link in the description. And aside from that, if you want to listen to the podcast on other platforms like Audible, Spotify, any of those, you can also find us there as well. Link in the description. Take it easy, guys. Have a good day.